Time for the paper review and the front pages this morning. Well, this day leads with the new wage. Tinubu directs Edun to come up with cost implications in 48 hours. Labour suspends strike for 1 week. Senate pledges speedy passage of minimum wage bill. House cautions federal government against increasing wage beyond country's economy. Ojikalu proposes 90,000 naira as minimum wage. Senators lament greed shut down. Yes, the greed is still shut down. And the leading photograph there on the front page is that from the meeting with the president yesterday when he received a briefing from the delegation representing the federal government at the tripartite committee negotiating the new national minimum wage. And the negotiators briefed the president, says the caption. In the yellow box this morning, a federal government CNG program to slash petrol import by 5.5 billion liters and $4.4 billion yearly. Well, editors condemn increasing spate of journalist abduction is in the black strip this morning. Above the masthead, in a bid to bolster economic reforms, support businesses, Edun presents stabilization plan to Tinubu. Here's an interesting rider for you on why you need to get this story. Plan reveals fuel subsidies still being paid. Projected to hit 5.4 trillion naira this year. Prescribes 1 trillion naira stabilization fund for manufacturing. President to sign executive order on the plan. That's this day for you.
Let's look at the punch. Minimum wage talks. Labour considers 100,000 naira. Tinubu issues ultimatum. President orders minister to calculate cost. Labour gives 1 week ultimatum. You look at the pictures there, 1 killed, 50 miners trapped as speed collapses in Niger State. Such a tragedy. CNG will reduce petrol imports by $4.4 billion, FG says. On the top mast, sell crude to Dangote refinery, FG directs IOCs. LG funds reps back FG suit against the governors. 30 governors spent $968 billion on refreshments. Others in just 3 months. That's a report.
The Vanguard also leads with minimum wage, says give costs to government today. Tinubu orders finance minister. There's also a story on the Ondo Guba. INEC extends voter registration deadline to June 9. This and many more on the front page of the Vanguard.
Let's look at the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper, it says it's still on the Labour story. Minimum wage. Labour vows to reject little addition to the 60,000 that government was initially offering. While we relax strike for a week, NLC president, get me cost implication in 48 hours, Tinubu orders Edun.
The Guardian this morning bucks the trend, leads with World Environment Day, says how illegal mining, deforestation, others leave Nigerians poorer.
All right, let's look at leadership. Still on minimum wage. Tinubu demands realistic proposal in 48 hours, 6 cost implications, sustainability details. Labour defense suspension of strike for a week.
I think we can go to South Africa now and look at the front page of Citizen. Jaw, not war. Analyst is saying that the MK is going into coalition, gone blazing, and it needs to be reconciliatory. But you can find that story in the Citizen this morning.
And businesses in South Africa, Fitch warns against radical policies. ANC leaders in closed-door meetings. Multi-choice and Canal Plus publish mandatory offer. Economy expected to pick up after dismal fourth quarter.
To the UK Daily Express this morning, the Daily Express is describing Rishi Sunak's TV debate performance as rumbustious. Says kapow, feisty, Rishi floors stammer over £2,000 tax rise.
The Times. Labour accused on tax as Sunak comes out fighting. The writer there says PM says Labour will raise bills by £2,000 in fiery TV debate. A snap poll finds story leader edged it. Doctors help Charles win his battle to mark D-Day.
The Guardian UK, leaders clash on migration, tax and NHS in ill-tempered debate.
All right, let's look at the Daily Mail. It's still on Sunak and Starmer. Fiery Rishi comes out swinging and lands big blows. PM claims care plotting 2,000, the same story as the other one.
Well, the Daily Telegraph also reports that Sir Keir Starmer will raise taxes for every working household by £2,000 after Rishi Sunak repeatedly made the claim in the first television election debate. There's also a story that Biden is opposing NATO isolation. Is that what? NATOization of Ukraine in blue for Zelensky.
Newspaper. 2024 election ignites during angry TV clash. Just some riders, there 1 or 2 or 3. Ill-tempered contest between Tory and Labour leaders sees them both falter under pressure. Starmer is slow to deny Sunak's claim about £2,000 tax hikes to the dismay of Labour colleagues. Starmer claims PM is ashamed of the last 14 years. We can have 5 more years of this.
Interesting. Well, let's bring in for analysis of these stories and more Dr. Constance Ikoko, who is a social commentator, a journalist, and a Rise News analyst. Good to see you.
Good to see you. This one, I always love your introduction.
Thank you. Because you're a fascinating analyst. Thank you so much. I always enjoy your analysis as always.
And good morning indeed.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. Yeah, the minimum wage conversation, of course, still dominates the front pages as expected. And President Bola Tinubu yesterday received briefings or a brief from his team. That's the federal government-led team of negotiators. And he has directed the Minister of Finance to come up with a figure today, actually, because according to the Information Minister, he said the President directed him between yesterday and today. So by today, the President is supposed to get a figure from Mr. Wale Edun. What did you make of the outcome of this meeting?
Yes, at this one, it's crunch time. You know, they have to crunch the numbers. And the government or the president wants to know what this means for the country. Is it going to be 100,000? Is it going to be 61, 75,000? And how is this going to impact government balance sheet and expenditures? Recurrent expenditure, we know already we spend more than 70% of government budget on a recurrent expenditure, paying worker salaries, allowances, and things of that nature. And so, is this going to trigger inflation? Will the government be able to show that this responsibility? And so, this assignment has been given to Minister of Finance, to figure it out and return to the president to say, you know what, this is what we are able to do, and this is what Labour has agreed with us. This is a very critical juncture for the government because Labour has said they have to make this decision within 1 week.
Yes.
The strike has only been suspended. If by the end of the week they do not come up with a number, they would return to point zero. That means they go back to strike, and I think that the government does not want to see this. As this I've been talking to different people and listening to what people are saying, there is a suggestion that actually, apart from all this increase in salaries, one of the things that the government can do is to give credits to workers. We're only talking about federal civil servant workers because this is who the increase is for. Give them credits on the things that are essential items that they spend in households. So for instance, credit for school fees, credit for transport, credit for food, what else? Credit for rent. Okay. So if you don't want to give them 400 and something thousand for higher wages, you can provide all these credits in different areas that sort of will cushion the effect of the financial difficulties that are facing. That is one way to deal with this issue. And may I add also that the National Assembly has heard Labour loud and clear. They're saying, don't worry, once this is agreed, if the bill comes to us, we will pass it as quickly as possible. We are listening.
Well, that's the other argument. Why have they wasted time with passing it? The next argument is the wastages and then the spending, both on the National Assembly and the executive. We talked about 160 million SUV cars. We talked about is it how many billions to renovate the Senate vice president's home.
And the money spent on Hajj, over 60 billion,
90
on religious
billion.
activities.
They don't.
I think there's a story on the front page, Indy. You know,
That's where
you called was baffling.
That's where I'm going to now. Before I brought that up, minimum wage talks, Labour considers 100. People say 100. Why not 150? Why not 200? But now you have the story on. I took time to read that out. You know, emphasis. 30 governors spend 968 billion on what? Refreshments. Others in just 3 months. That's a report.
Yes,
And LG
indeed.
funds reps back FG suit against the governors.
Yes.
So that's why Labour, I'm sure, is basing their argument.
So, I mean, this figure might be shocking to many. It's expenditure for just 3 months of the year 2024 for 30 states. The information is available. It's put together on a website, you know, by budget, you know, so you see the budget implementation at the state level. We're always about federal. The states are also an issue. Well, it is true that there are essential things to spend money on. You have to have refreshments. The money is also spent on travels and allowances and other expenditures of you know, similar to that. But the point then is, in a situation of economic upheaval as we are in, what are the priorities? Are there ways we can prioritize expenditures? Can we reduce what we are spending on things such as cars, you know, refreshments and allowances and travels? You know, can we put money where things are more important? But the most important thing here, Indiana Deswa, is information, data, knowledge is power. The citizens need to know. The reason why this information is available is so that you know what your government is spending your money on, and so that you can hold them accountable. And so that you can, you know, get up and say, you know what, we think we have, you know, the power, you know, to decide where our money goes. Why not put it here? Why not move it here? We think that is more, you know, more beneficial to us that want you're spending the money on currently.
You know, it's the hypocrisy for me, because you're asking labor and workers to tighten their belt. You're asking Nigerians, you know, this is crunch time, austerity, but you're spending over 900, is it billion in 3 months on refreshments?
Allowances and travels, yes.
I mean, that's a bit ridiculous if you ask me. But let's look at The Guardian this morning. And I also remember the points the president made recently when he said, when it comes to campaigning, electioneering, everybody goes to the grassroots. But when it comes to governance, when the governors get into office, they all face Abuja as if it's Abuja that will solve the problem. So the governors need to do more. And just to buttress your point, to say we're focused too much on the center. How about the subnationals? Well, let's look at The Guardian this morning, and they are bucking the trend away from the minimum wage talks to focus on the World Environment Day, Dr. Ikoko. Nigerians are poorer because of mining, deforestation, illegal mining particularly, deforestation and others. Tell us about the story.
Yeah, Guardian always does such reports, which we need. It's not only about politics. Our environment is also key to our survival. So this report is trying to promote awareness both for government and citizens. And what it's saying is that we cannot continue unchecked mining, unregulated mining, deforestation, and land reclamation, you know, recklessly without seeing the impact on us. Now, we are in this environment today. There's also future generations coming. You don't want to destroy it completely for them. And so what this is saying is that in areas where there are extractive activities going on, we need to do better. For instance, the Niger Delta, and then in Lagos, land reclamation. When you see all the land reclamation that is going on in Lagos, when it rains, you know, just a little bit of rain, the whole place is massively flooded, and people will literally, you know, need a boat to swim through their neighborhoods. You know, this is a warning sign that the activities that are ongoing in that environment are detrimental to us, and we must take action against it. And so the Niger Delta, for instance, I remember last year when I went for a wedding to River State, you could see all over, every part of the neighborhood and the environment is completely devastated. You know, you have oil spillage everywhere, the rivers, the land, everything. You wouldn't want to live in those places. The pollution is terrible. And so, yes, we need profit, we need money, you know, to run the economy, to run the government. At the same time, you cannot destroy yourself in the name of profit. So these are things, you know, on the World Environment Day, it is saying that we need, definitely, both government and the people need to take this into consideration.
Before we go to South Africa and some other international papers, on Vanguard, the front page, editors flay increasing spate of journalist abduction, and then 30 fear dead as mine site collapses in Niger. I think one of the papers has a picture of it. What we read this morning was one, about 30 fear dead as mine site collapses in Niger.
I think it's Niger.
Niger, sorry.
Yes.
Niger State.
Yeah.
Sounds similar.
Yes.
Well, just what we were saying about World Environment Day and the Guardian report, you know, government has to really take care. A lot of unregulated mining going on in Nigeria. We need to do something about it.
Yes. So let's go to the foreign papers and this Biden story asking or opposing NATOization. Do you make sense of that?
Yes, Adesua. So Biden is saying that he doesn't really support Ukraine joining NATO. I mean, it's a blow. In fact, a blow is an understatement for President of Ukraine, Zelensky. From day one, when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2020, the objective had always been to join NATO in order to have a cover from the rampaging influence of Russia in that region. And so at some point there were attempts to have an accelerated membership for Ukraine, but it cooled down after a while. But now Biden is saying categorically he doesn't think he was supported. And I think one of the reasons is that he says when he was vice president, he saw significant corruption in Ukraine. There are conditions to join NATO. And one of the reasons why a lot of European countries are running under the cover of NATO is that they want to be free from Russia. Sweden, you know, joined NATO recently, and that was a significant shift from their foreign and security policy, but they had to do it once they saw what was happening to Ukraine. And so Biden is saying, although I don't want them to join NATO, at the same time, we have a duty to make sure that Ukraine does not fall to Russia, because if it does, you know, there's risk that neighboring countries like Poland and other Eastern European nations will also fall to Russia. And I think that this story is the blow, you know, is just, like I said, understatement. I think a lot of European Eastern countries will be very, very upset with Biden for saying this, but it's what it is. You know, the U.S. sort of runs NATO. I mean, financially, you know, they are the leader in, exactly, they are the leader in NATO. So what they say, I'm afraid, will be, you know, what NATO will, you know, sort of agree to.
Not just the talk on the voters are turning the other cheek. In India, voters deliver shock to Modi after ruling BJP fails to win majority. This is Financial Times.
Yes.
And then, of course, the fiery TV debate between Sunak and Keir Starmer in the British election that will be coming soon, UK election rather.
Well, unfortunately, we're told that we're out of time. Dr. Constance Ikoko, thank you so much for your analysis. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.